It's up for grabs now!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Arsenal Lounge for our weekly Monday night podcast. We bring this for you, obviously, as you know, every Monday evening with a wonderful panel that we have for you, and you love them as much as we do. Just before we start the show, obviously, it was a bit of a sad weekend in football. We've lost a Tottenham player, but a legendary England striker. And also we lost a gooner in good old Boise, John Chalice. So our thoughts and prayers are with their family and with their friends. And I lost my uncle, which was sadder than them for me. But on a positive note, we were all surprised with a 1-0 to the Arsenal away at Burnley. Let me start obviously with the panel first. I'll start with my my Turkish brother actually this week. Lev, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm good. I mean, obviously, you've touched on the fact that the guy that played Boise, John Chalice, I grew up watching him, and also Jimmy Greaves. So for me, that was my first real experience of football on television. Before Sky Sports and all that. So I mean, massive losses. But other than that, and obviously condolences to your loss as well, bro. I knew about that, and but yeah, other than that, second show in a row where we've won a game. So I'll take that.
That's good. Good evening to everybody in the chats as well. Gunnar Glenn, Gunnerberg, Chan, Jack. Thank you for being here. Tom, how are you feeling? You good?
Yeah, very good, mate. Again, echo the condolences there, and I hope you're doing well, mate, and things are good. I mean, John Chalice, I grew up, obviously, I'm of a younger persuasion, but I mean, I grew up with green grass on my telly. I don't know why it was on. I was more aware of that than Only Fools and Horses when I was
going on about the age again, isn't he?
Just saying, that was the thing that was on telly.
All right. Yeah, we had big backs on our TVs, Tom. Yeah, all right.
So, to be fair, I'm not that young. So did I.
Right, try putting my old TV on the wall. The wall would have come down. Put it that way.
Well,
I used to have a bracket in the corner of the room, like a bracket.
Just to know who John Chalice was. It was a proper gooner, apparently, Tom.
He was, yeah, very much so.
Last but not least, my fellow brother, Mr. Haider. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Look, obviously, firstly, condolences for your loss, Shane. Nice of you to open the show on that note. Just think about the people that we lost this week. Was your uncle a gooner?
No, he lived in Holland. He was a Ajax fan.
Cool. So you must have had a love for Dennis Bergkamp, Mark Overmars.
Yes.
In common, at least. Yeah.
Yes,
even
it was a proper
Kanu, Van Bronckhorst. Did he ever play for Ajax, or was that only PSV? Did he play for?
I think it was PSV.
PSV.
Any other Arsenal players that did Ajax and
Vermaelen?
Yeah, good shout. There must be a few more.
Donyell Marlin as well. Donyell Marlin.
Was he as well? Was he Ajax?
Yeah, he went Ajax, then he came here, and then we sold him to PSV. Cool. I'll tell you who we did send on loan to Ajax. A certain Yaya Sanogo went to Ajax on loan as well. So there you go.
Yeah, cool.
Is he still there, Tom?
No, he plays. He was playing for Huddersfield, I think. Last I heard. So there you go. Yeah.
All right. We must have missed many. Like anyone in the chat, if you know any Arsenal Ajax connections, then come on, show off and put them in.
Show off the knowledge. Guys, you see, we do these podcasts, and it always personally makes me feel better, and I'm very grateful to comments like this. So it's 3 a.m. in Malaysia here, and I'm talking about a need of a therapy. Well, listen, man, really appreciate you being awake at this time and watching us, and thank you for your time. Paul, what was your thoughts on the game?
Well, this is. Some people won't get this, right? It's a funny sentence, but it was our best performance of our Premier League season so far, in my opinion, and it was awful. Yeah. So the fact that those two things can be true at the same time, I think just sums up everything you need to know about Arsenal's season so far. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's really not. I think we actually played with pride. We seem to, really have belief and a resolute way of playing that I felt like we thought we could win. And I felt like when we went in at full time, I thought the manager would be able to say to the team, thank you for that performance in a way that, I feel like he would have felt like they played for him. It's the first time this season I feel like he would have looked at his team coming in feeling appreciative and thankful. So, yeah, the football, though, was bang average. Going forward, so wasteful, quite uninspiring, other than Martin Odegaard's brilliant finish. Other than that, we didn't really do much. We didn't really test Nick Pope at all much. So yeah, there's the sort of dilemma we're in. Which way do we take it? Positively or negatively? Do we look at result or do we look at performance?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Tom, what was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I'm very similar to Mo, to be honest. I'm still in search of this style. That's all I want to see from Arsenal at the end of the day. Is I want to see what we're trying to do. And I mean, in the last two games against Norwich and now against Burnley, our goal has come from fortune. Amazing strike from Odegaard, but it's a set piece. It's out of the usual run of play. And whilst we did well to win that set piece, and you have to take your opportunities when they come, it's that case of scoring a goal from a nice bit of play that was clearly well thought out, so that I can see where we've scored that goal. I can see the coaching behind it and the tactics. But I'm not seeing that still. Now, it is important to contextualize and say, look, we had such an awful start to the season that I will take back-to-back wins no matter how we get them. And I'm very glad for it, especially knowing that we need to pick up those 2 wins going into next weekend, which is huge. And hopefully we can pick up a third in midweek to boost our confidence even further. But it is always, for me, going to come back to that style and wanting someone that can implement a style. But maybe what I'm going to look for in the positive is the lineup. Maybe the lineup we finally know he knows his best 11, and maybe now we can build a style from that foundation.
Okay, fair enough. Lev.
I'm not used to you going straight to me. You usually go before I come to you, and then you keep me waiting for 5 minutes, and then we go on from there. But thanks for that.
I'm being kind to you.
I know, man. I know. Thanks. I do echo what the guys are saying, 100%. Especially being wasteful in front of goal, not just in front of goal, it's not even getting before that, in the final third, should I say. There were some awful moments where there were simple passes that could have been played and weren't picked out correctly, or the crosses were wrong, or it's just weird what's going on up top at the moment, even though you could see the team actually makes sense for once. It started to make sense. At the back, we looked a little bit more solid. If we're going to try, I'm trying to pick out some positives here. We looked a little bit more solid. I like Gabriel, who Tomiyasu was really solid. I would like to see the stats on how many crosses he stopped, because I'll tell you what, I think, was it Mo that mentioned it last week about the fact that we don't seem to like to stop crosses getting in the box, but Tomiyasu is that type of defender. He don't want you to get past him or get a ball in. If he can stop you, he will. So those are the positives. Is Odegaard playing in an 8? Is he playing in an 8? Because we I don't want to harp on, but I did suggest that might be the case. I don't know. The midfield retention of the ball wasn't what I expected, which is a little bit concerning. But overall, look, positive. We won the game, but a bit wasteful and not keeping that ball, and a little bit still prone to making that one error at the back. Thankfully, Ramsdale saved us.
Yeah. Mo, have we turned the corner? Let me finish.
We have. It's one of those corners that goes on forever.
Otherwise known as a roundabout.
We discussed this. Listen, we discussed this a few weeks ago, and we all agreed that Arteta needs to get 9 points out of the next 3 games, and he's on course.
I even said he could get away with less. I said he could get away with 7.
I agree. Well, we said as a standard for Arsenal Football Club, right? 3 points of the next 3 games each is what is needed, and he's on course. So he's got since international break, 2 clean sheets, right? 6 points. He's made certain changes that are a bit gutsy, should we say? For example, Ramsdale,
Yeah, fair
right?
point.
So the question is: have we turned the corner, or is this is what is expected of an Arsenal team, regardless? Hold on, let me finish. Of beating Burnley and Norwich, behave yourself, Mo. And obviously all of this could come undone with a bad defeat to Tottenham, or is it that no, we haven't turned the corner. This is the minimum that is expected, and we need to see a lot more. For example, a 10-game winning run to turn around and say yes, maybe a corner has been turned. Which one is it?
Well, look, a 10-game winning run would be great, but they're very rare in Premier League history in any case, right? So, but what I would say is that it will take a 10-game streak, or certainly not a 2-game streak. Maybe somewhere in between. Like, let's say 6 games, a whole month of playing well, getting good results. I'm not saying you have to win every single game. There will be, even if we go and draw against Tottenham, but we play really, really well, then we come off thinking, oh, we're unlucky. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden I'm going to be saying, oh, Arteta's rubbish. For Arteta to change our minds and for us to truly say, yes, we have turned a corner, we can't be as reactionary as, 2 1-0 wins against teams that we expect to beat with 1 goal in open play, which is very, very scrappy. These aren't turning a corner sort of standards. These are just a case of, okay, there's progress. And I said after Norwich, scrappy 1-0 win, it's fine if we build upon it. If we don't build upon it, then, what's the point? We're just back to, being an inconsistent, rubbish team. And we have built upon it. This was better than Norwich, So now what I want to see, again, let's go and beat Tottenham and build on this even further. Even if we beat Tottenham, we haven't turned a corner. Once we see an uptake in performances as well as the results, and that goes on for more than just like 3 games, that's when I'll start saying, okay, it looks like we have turned a corner. And then they've got to go and prove that. But, I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I'd rather the seeds are being planted of that conversation of turning a corner rather than being stuck in the murky sort of opening start to the season where we were just rubbish and there was no sort of light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll take that positive.
Okay. Tom, Arteta deserves a little bit of credit. Look, we always said, no, and I'm not his fan, as you know, right? But we need to be balanced here, right? We've always said football is a result business, okay? So since international break, he's got 2 clean sheets, 2 wins, 3 points. There is this saying that say you can only beat what's in front of you, right? I thought Burnley away is a lot tougher than Norwich at home, but here is a big but, right? Both games, I'll use the word, we won unconvincingly. Like it wasn't a shrewd performance. I expect that maybe more at Norwich at home than Burnley. So what is your thoughts, considering what I just said about obviously Arteta, whether he deserves some credit for these two results that he's got, and also this corner business? Have we turned the corner, or no? We're just getting some people getting carried away.
It would take an incredibly biased position to not give any credit. I mean, after 2 back-to-back wins, especially after the start that we've had, to say that there is nothing good about what we've seen would be very, very pessimistic and harsh, I think. As I say, the biggest thing for me is always the style, and that's not currently there. But I mean, if we want to talk about positives, I thought he got the team selection, as I say, spot on. And one of the big things about Arteta for us, and one of the biggest criticisms I think we collectively have had, is his decision-making at times. And in-game management as well. I thought he handled the game against Norwich really well. He started the team, I think most of us would have started bar Partey, but that was a fitness thing. And at the right moment in the game, he made a sub against Norwich, and that sub with Partey coming on changed it completely, because he played the pass that started off the move to get us the goal. You look at the lineup that played against Burnley, I thought it was brave, but you can't discredit him for making a brave kind of selection with 2 number 8s behind the front 3. Because, I mean, that's what's been lacking from Arsenal. It's just a little bit of verve, a little bit of electricity in the front line, and playing this number 10 in behind the front 3 has not given it that oomph that it's needed. So He's looked at that and gone, okay, look, I'm not getting enough from my front line. How am I going to try and solve this? I'm up against Burnley, who we know are quite one-dimensional in the way that they play. You know what you're going to get from Burnley. Let's chuck in an extra number 8 and see what happens. And I think that Smith Rowe had a really kind of dull game, to be honest, and he was kind of let down. Arteta was kind of let down by the performances of the forward line. Like, I talk about looking for a style, but the style does need the players to play. And I think you can point a few fingers at the performances of Aubameyang and Pepe and Saka and Smith Rowe. I thought Ødegaard was really the kind of shining light, and he, again, like Norwich, pressed that back line. It gives you so much energy, Ødegaard, in the team, and he does lead. And we've needed a bit of a leader in the forward line because Aubameyang's not it. He's not a captain. And all the leaders that we've got elsewhere are either in the deep part of the midfield or in the defence, or now the goalkeeper with Ramsdale too. So I like that, and I like the bravery from Arteta in those decisions. But results are great, but you then do need to start marrying results with performances to then equal consistency, and that's still going to be the concern at the end of the day.
Okay, Lev, same thing over to you. With the difference of how important is Thomas Partey to this team and Arteta's plan?
Ooh, right. Well, for me, for this, especially with the system he played last weekend, Partey has to be firing on all cylinders, because he's got a lot of work to do there with the likes of, Ødegaard in an 8, and then maybe Smith Rowe dropping into that position as well. It's not like he's going to get a lot of support in midfield at times. So I think Tom's hit the nail on the head. For me, what we can say about these last 2 selections by Arteta was very brave. Really brave, and generally, apart from the Partey situation, like Tom said as well, made sense. You look at that team and it makes sense. Now, ironically, where it was let down and where maybe we are questioning style is the fact that the front guys weren't connecting. You could see there was openings. Pepe a few times, Smith Rowe a few times. Saka was, unusually very slack on the ball. A couple of touches where if he had taken control of the ball, it was a chance to score. So you could see signs there, but until those guys up top click together, we're not really going to, we can't see a style. What is the point of defenders defending, then the midfielders getting the ball, giving it to those guys up top if it's not going to happen at the other end? So we were fortunate that, Ødegaard took that free kick the way he did. It's a tough one, but I did also, by the way, predict 9 points out of these next 3 games. Remember, I was the only one that predicted it, so we're on 6.
Well,
so
we still haven't got 9 points.
Yeah, so. But we're on through it.
We might clip this and then play it back after the.
Oh, leave it. Clip it if 9 points comes. Yeah,
I said 7, so I'm still on.
Yeah, you're still on. You're still on.
All
as
right,
well.
We'll find out. Sometimes I like to ask you guys a yes or no question, and just a quick yes or no, right?
No.
So I'm gonna ask you just a yes or no. No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Thank you.
We're so childish.
Aubameyang,
behave yourselves,
right? Behave yourselves. I'm gonna block you. Watch yourselves.
Oh, I've seen that one before.
Aubameyang seems to have carried off a little bit of the form that he was in last season to this season, right? Just a quick yes or no. Would you replace him with Lacazette for the North London derby? Mo?
No.
Tom?
No.
Lev? I'll take that. I would. I'm a fan of Lacazette. I think.
Do you know who wouldn't?
I think Lacazette offers us something that Aubameyang doesn't.
Yeah, but he don't know anything, does he?
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know nothing about football, but I think Lacazette can help us hold the ball up a little bit more, and a bit. He offers a bit of physicality where Aubameyang don't. I like Lacazette, but that's again, as you rightly pointed out, Tom, Mr. Canton. I don't know much about football, so
people in the chat. I want to see, because I see a few yeses crop up in the chat. I want to know, because a lot of people are saying tight call, playing both. Just yes or no. Would you put Laka over Aubameyang? That's the question. Yes or no. Let's just see what the consensus is in the chat.
And also, we're gonna try something today for the last 10 minutes, right? And I'm gonna admit on live show that I've nicked this idea from Tom. and he's here. So I'm gonna,
Oh,
last 10 minutes.
get that copyright money.
Wait. Are you admitting to plagiarism live on air?
No. Listen, last 10 minutes, people in the chat, you can ask guys questions like Tom, Mo, Lev, and I don't know much about football, so maybe just.
I didn't invent Q&A's. Just putting that out there.
Oh yeah, Jesus. We've got some new merch
questions
coming out as well. We've got some new merch coming out as well. T-shirts.
Yeah, well,
with Shaheen.
hold on, hold your horses, right? So, if you want to last 10 minutes, you can ask the guys questions. Now, we're trying to get obviously as many questions put through to the panel as we can. If you were to do a super chat, though, might be a bit different. Hint. No, I'm just joking.
A lot of yeses.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Quite a lot of yeses on the chats.
Well, he has scored. He has scored against Spurs quite a few times. That's a valid point.
Lacazette does turn up in big games. You have to give him.
He does.
Moving on, we've got a game obviously against AFC Wimbledon. It's obviously in a cup. What I wanted to ask you, and I'll start with you, Mo. How much would you change the lineup? Would you change at all?
I would change it because you don't want any injuries, but I would not be changing it to the extent that we have any risk. It's a really difficult one because we don't have that many opportunities this season to get into Europe, to win trophies. So we have to take every single competition that we're in really, really seriously. And I want Arteta to do that. I was happy with the team we played against West Brom. But, for example, what I might do is say Thomas Partey, someone that we know is quite injury-prone. Kieran Tierney, again, someone that we know picks up a few injuries. I might rest those two, along with maybe Bukayo Saka, who maybe there's a bit of a European hangover. I might even say, like, in Emile Smith-Rowe, did he look at his absolute best against Burnley? Maybe not. So players like that, I might say, all right, you guys can come out. We've got really good players to come in. Martinelli, Tavares can have a go. And then you can come in and do a job in midfield. I don't even know. Xhaka might not even be suspended. No, he's served his suspension now, hasn't he? It was only one game suspension.
Oh, no. He's suspended for Wednesday.
Yeah, he
is.
Yeah, it was a 3.
Was it a 3 match or a 1 match?
It was a straight red, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So, then I'd play El Neni, And, I just feel like, we have to rotate the squad. And what I'd like, purely because otherwise, when else are they going to play? We've got no Europa League to keep the squad happy. But largely, I would like to see White, Gabriel continue that partnership. I wouldn't want to do anything there.
So you wouldn't change the back line, the back two, rather, the back centre-back pairing?
Yeah. With that, I'd like to keep them. Leno should obviously come in for this game. He needs to play some minutes. And also, what I would say is that I'd like to see some of the youngsters on the bench because they beat Chelsea 6-1 in brilliant fashion. And I just think to myself, that's one thing I always look forward to when it comes to the League Cup, seeing some of the youth. So Charlie Patino is a player who's had a lot of eyes looking at him this season because of his performances. Balogun, for example, if he doesn't play in this game, when else is he going to play? Even Nketiah, in fact, he's injured, isn't he? So Balogun, would be someone that I'd like to see on the bench. So basically that's what I want to see. I want to see a strong team. If we're 3-4-0 up, half an hour to go, let's give some of the kids a run out.
Okay. Tom, would you change the back centre-back pairing, considering obviously you got players who need minutes, and we don't have any European game, we don't have any midweek games, so the rotation has to come somewhere.
I'd change 11 players in my kind of lineup that I said I wanted to see. I made 11 changes, so I understand the pros to continue in that partnership. The only argument I've got against that is, say you've had Norwich the week prior, you've got Burnley this week. There was a week in between those two games, and so I feel like we didn't really see, like, say, Gabriel and White lose anything from not playing for a week. Like, I'm not saying that there's a game, so for the sake of having a game, you should play him again, or it's not worth doing that. I just think that we can rest them. I can avoid the risk of injury ahead of the North London derby, so I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing to avoid that risk. Why take a chance when I can take no chance at all, kind of thing. I mean, my predicted lineup was, or not predicted, but desired lineup was along the lines of Leno, Cedric, Holding, Marie, Tavares, Sambi Lokonga coming in, or El Neni, along with Maitland-Niles. You could even rest Lokonga if you wanted to. It depends how Arteta wants to set up against Spurs. I think I'd love to see Patino play. And the thing is, I see a lot of people on social media saying, like, we need to chill on Patino. We need to calm down. Like, he's still a kid and all this. Sorry, but Saka was in the first team at 17. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Like, you get into the team as early as you need to be. And for an opportunity where and you think back to the League Cup last season, as Mo said, we don't have European football this year. The League Cup last season, we had Leicester, Liverpool, and we went out to Manchester City. None of those games were opportunities where you could see a kid at 17 years of age or 18 years of age getting into that team and getting some experience at a senior level. We're playing Wimbledon in the League Cup at home at the Emirates. This is a great opportunity to use Patino and give him some experience with those senior players. So I'd chuck him in. I'd have Hutchinson and Kedo Taylor-Hart on the bench. I'd be starting Balogun as well and giving him opportunities. I think Lacazette does need to start this game because it also gives you some assurance that you've got, a quality striker up top to get you the goals against a low league opposition. And I think Martinelli desperately needs to play this game because where's he going to get minutes from this season at the moment? So that's kind of the team I'm looking at. And yeah, 11 changes.
Okay. Well, I'm actually quite glad you said that because what the question I was going to put to Lev is actually something similar to this. Before I come to you, Lev, I see a couple of people asking questions on the chat. The last 10 to 12 minutes will give you guys a chance to ask Mo, Tom, Lev, or me even questions, whatever questions we have. We've got a super chat from Wayne. As usual, very kind. Thank you, Wayne. Lev, do you want to read out the super chat and then I'll put my question to you?
Thank you, Wayne. You know we respect and love you, man. Laka and Uber should play together, so there's an option there. Odegaard allows Laka to stay further up instead of dropping deep. Laka creates space for wingers with hold-up play, and you know what? I tend to maybe agree with that in the sense of one thing Laka does do better than Aubameyang is bring others into the game more, especially the youngsters. So that's a good point,
I've always said I'll prefer to have them two both playing up front. Well, see, it's very interesting because Tom would change a lot, right? And Mo wouldn't change as much as Tom, right? Now, the predicament the manager might have, Lev, is if he does change a lot and brings the likes of Charlie, Patino in and Hutchinson, etc., and then he loses the game, right? No, listen, it's quite possible. You pulled that face, but it's possible.
No, I pulled
right?
that face because I've just got used to us winning a couple of games. You put me back in that place already. That's all. That's the only reason. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Are you done? Considering, right, that this competition can get us to Europe. If we win it, right,
it gets us to the Conference League, Shahid.
Well, it's something.
It gets us to Europe.
Yeah, something, right? So my question to you is that how would that affect Arteta's team selection? That if he brings wholesale changes, right, and he loses the games, the fans will be all over him. Oh, this is the realistic chance of winning something, and this argument that whether you like winning or you want to finish in top four and all of that. What's your thoughts on that?
It's an interesting one because I understand where you're coming from in a sense, and I'm looking at some of the guys in the chat here, and it's dividing a few people. Some will say they shouldn't make wholesale changes because obviously they want to continue the winning run. However, at the same time, like Mo said, you've always got the risk of playing your better players and losing them for the bigger game, in the North London derby. Now, personally, I probably wouldn't make the type of wholesale changes, but there is enough now in depth now everybody's back to field a second team that's good enough to beat Wimbledon. Let's be honest here, right? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Holding and Mari and Chambers were playing against Man City and Chelsea. Right, all right, they got hammered. I get it, but this is Wimbledon at home. Okay. Secondly, you've got enough in midfield now with the likes of Lokonga and El Neni and whatever. If you want to chuck in a Patino, that makes sense to me because I think it's asking too much from a young kid on his debut to play with other youngsters. Too many. You need some experienced heads around him to give him some assurance and let him play with a bit of freedom. But we have enough in all areas right now. Like you said up top, we've got Martinelli, you got Balogun. Is Nketiah injured or is he back?
He should be back.
He should be back. Yeah. You've got Lacazette. You can give him 60 minutes or so and then take him off if you want to. we've got more than enough. So I would probably go with a mixture of experience and some youth, but we have enough, and I wouldn't risk my first 11, despite winning these last 2 games. I would not risk. I wouldn't risk, my first team.
But can I just say that? Sorry, Shane. Just this selection, right? For me, it's about. Of course, we should win the game, irrespective, but it's about the risk. So there's 2 risks. Yeah, either you go with a strong lineup and you get an injury. Love it.
Right, blocked.
Oh, he's gone.
We should have the theme tune. Another one bites the dust. So just in the back. Sorry,
right. Yeah. So I was saying that, like, either you play a strong team and the risk is you get an injury, and then all the fans, all the pundits will be like, how ridiculous. You win the game 5-0, you've got an injury, it was unnecessary. Or you play a weak team, like you do what Tom was suggesting, 11 players. And if anything goes wrong, then that risk to me is like far, far greater if you crash out. But, obviously I don't think we will crash out. I think we'll win irrespective of the team that we play, provided it's not like, a complete youth team. But for me, I just feel like this season is not an ordinary Arsenal season. The risk of crashing out, even though it's quite small, is so big. It will be so catastrophically bad for our season that I'd rather take the other risk, which is you play a slightly stronger than necessary team and risk getting an injury.
Well, this is why I was putting through to Lev. How would that influence the manager's thought process when it comes to picking team? Considering he knows if he loses, basically, he's fucked.
Well, I don't think that. Look, I don't think the League Cup game is going to really affect his presence at the club. It's going to.
I don't think a lot of games will affect his presence in the
Very
club.
true. It's a good point. Amongst the fan base, yes, obviously,
that's what I'm talking about.
It would be another stick to beat the manager with, obviously. However, what I would say is that we're talking about kind of the second string sides. Now, we remember back in the days when you'd see like a League Cup team full of like Nico Yanaris's, for instance, like playing, or Arsenal getting knocked out. I remember getting knocked out in, I think it was the quarterfinal of the FA Cup by Blackburn or something at some stage when they were on the way down, and we played like a weakened side. And yeah, we've had some lower league or just lower opposition knockouts, but if you think about the team which I was saying earlier, which involves Leno, Cedric, Holding, Marie, which I think all 4 of those played against Chelsea on the second game of the season, by the way. This is a competent team. Like, these players should beat Wimbledon. Like, I don't think I can point the finger at Arteta and go, how dare you play Holding and Marie and Leno against Wimbledon and not get a result? I mean, if Arteta picks that team, I'm not going to be looking at Arteta and going, wow, how dare you? Because these players should beat Wimbledon. Do you know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. And I mean, the fact that we're actually discussing this shows how we feel as fans about this game. It could be a banana skin, but hopefully we'll whiz through it with maybe we'll have a couple of experienced players on the bench just in case things go wrong, and then give chance to the youth.
But can I also say that for me, games like this, they indicate like what the culture is in a sense, like what the manager's culture is, what the manager's expectations are. It's absolutely fine not to take this competition seriously when you're in the Champions League, when you're in a decent European competition. For example, you got a hectic fixture list. When Arsene Wenger used to do it, I did not mind. But look, Mikel Arteta is Diet Pep. Yeah. So please go and do what Pep does and go and win this competition. Pep has done it on many occasions. And Pep didn't need to. But Mikel Arteta needs to. He needs to.
He has to, yeah.
Shaheen, can I just ask a question as well to some of the guys in the chat? Well, I'd like to hear their thoughts. Some are saying, "Oh, don't agree with Lev," or "Don't agree with Tom," in the sense of they would field their strongest team still because they need momentum. And I think it's Humble Gumble was one guy. And listen, I respect that opinion. What I'd like to throw back in your direction though is, what if he does play his strongest team and then we lose? I don't know, Gabriel. We lose Tomiyasu, or we lose Partey. then you lot would probably be. I'd like to hear what you think, because I think they'll be fuming that he actually played them and allowed them to get injured before North London derby. But I'd like to hear their thoughts.
No one's going to win, are they? Like, at the end of the day,
yeah, absolutely.
If we play the strongest team and someone gets injured, like, that's the stick to beat him with. If we play a whole host of different players and we lose, that's a stick to beat the manager with. Like, there is always going to be something that's there.
Yeah. And also, we have to consider that, like you just said, Lev, the next game isn't just any old Premier League game. You know, even though I want to see a few of our starting players start, like I've just said, Ben White and Gabriel, I want to see them play. But yeah, on what you've just said,
hold your thoughts, Mo.
Tottenham.
Hold your thoughts on that, and I'm going to come to this. There's a super chat.
How rude.
Lads, Abba and Laka for shout out lane for me. They know what it means. Saka and ESR too. Tommy definitely got the lucky. Great show. Arteta out. Thank you very much, Cliff. You're very kind with your donation. Mo, we're going to talk about until the last bit where people can ask you a question about the North London derby, right? So now I'm going to start with you because you were just starting to talk about it. How important is this game for Arteta, in a sense that if he loses this game, and also, you know, the manner of a loss and a win as well, right? Some of the good work that he's put in the past 2 games would have gone out of the window, and the fans will be on top of him again, because this is a big game for us fans. Also, on the other side of the coin, if he wins, and if he wins well, what that will do for him as well with fans. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, it's a huge game for Mikel Arteta, because we lost 3 on the bounce, and now he can almost undo that by winning 3 on the bounce. And he, in a way, he's lucky that reversal, 3 losses, 3 wins, culminates with the Tottenham game, because we feel that more as fans. That will completely change the mood around the club. And also, it's almost like right now, we're all reserving judgment a little bit as a fan base. We're kind of saying, okay, yes, we have 1-2 on the trot, but they were only 1-0. They were against Norwich and Burnley. And we're almost it's almost like now all wrapped up into Tottenham. That Tottenham game will decide whether these 2 wins count or they don't count. Because you know what everyone is going to be saying. If we lose against Tottenham, it's going to be a case of, see, Norwich and Burnley, it was only Norwich and Burnley. If we beat Tottenham, it's going to capture the whole mood. And it's going to be a case of a lot more people asking that question about turning that corner. Are we turning that corner? That question. And the other really, really important thing is, there are no excuses here. It's not that Tottenham, do you know how they started the season? At one point, they were top of the league. They've already bottled it. They're already top of the league. But now we've seen them for what they are. They're a really bang average team. So it's actually a case of 2 bang average teams playing each other. And now if Arsenal win, I think we go above them in the league. So it's...
Same points, 2 goals or more. 2 goals or more, I think it is, I've heard.
Yeah. So the thing is now, it's a case of we feared Tottenham after the Man City game, like in an extent. Like when we were thinking about that game, we were thinking, oh God, we better not lose. But now after seeing what they've done in recent weeks, seeing what we've done in recent weeks, and we're at home, I'm thinking we better win. That's my mentality now. Nuno, he hasn't impressed me as Tottenham manager. Kane, misfiring. Son, not doing much. Who are you scared of in that Tottenham team? So for
Kane.
me,
we loved breaking records, don't we? He hasn't scored for how many games, and he'll score against us. It's just typical.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a brilliant freeze. I love that freeze.
Look at that.
That's a smiley Mo.
He's not frozen. I think he's just really
Let me
excited.
just read the super chat until Mo sorts out his camera. Rich, thank you very much for the super chat, man. Brother Mo, if Arteta Xhaka in, I think if it means if Arteta picks Xhaka in the Northland derby, then Arteta will lose his fanboys, I think. Thanks for the super chat anyway, my friend. Tom, sorry Mo, did you...
Well, on that super chat, Tom, you confirmed that Xhaka's out for 3 games, yeah?
Yeah, he's fit. He's not fit, but he's available for Saturday, Sunday.
I'm going to come to Xhaka, so bear with me. I'm just going to come. I will come to Xhaka. Tom, what about you? What's your thoughts on the North London derby and the same thing that I asked Mo?
Look, form goes out the window, doesn't it? I mean, that's the saying with a North London derby, or any derby. Like, is there any real form? Can you really guess what's going to happen? You talk about Kane's kind of form of how he's getting on. He always turns up against Arsenal. Always turns up against Arsenal. There's something inside him. Maybe it's the fact that we let him go when he was a kid, and he's just determined every single time that we play against him. So I have no doubt. Son as well. Son turns up against us. There is one thing that I am very envious. I'm envy of very few things about Spurs, but in the modern era, the club, the managers that have been there have been able to instill something that I just feel has been lacking from Arsenal, and that's a hatred of their North London rivals. I feel that anyone that signs for Spurs, anyone that's at Spurs, any coach that's there, really gets the derby, really understands it. I think you see it when the likes of Eric Lamela scores, when Nasser Chadli scored against us, Eric Dyer, and all like cupping their ears, the fans and stuff like that. I feel like anyone that's there for Spurs really gets the North London derby, and it's a frustration I have because I just don't get the same vibe about our players' kind of dislike and tribal nature in the other direction towards Spurs. And so that's why I think form goes out the window for the North London derby, mainly because they have that hatred. Go on, Mo.
Just a really quick one, because, one of the super chats we received, is kind of touching on exactly that point. And when you were saying that, I thought, I kind of agree with it. And it made me think, well, which Arsenal players do I think actually get it? Yeah. And obviously Aaron Ramsey, he got it. Yeah, he really got it.
I think Lacazette gets it as well.
Yeah, and Aubameyang. I think both of them do. And that super chat by Cliff said that. He says, lads,
they need to play up front, both of them,
Yeah, he said they know what it means. And he said Saka and ESR too. But Laka and Oba, actually, I would say that's true of them. But I hear what you're saying, Tom, not enough.
I feel like
the rest of the players.
Tierney, I think, is from his Celtic Rangers kind of background, would understand a derby. I think that you'll have players like Ben White and Rams. I think Ramsdale will be a really good kind of addition for these types of games.
Tomiyasu. I think the profile of players is changing, so maybe we'll start to get that.
And I think the fact that they're younger as well, like they'll get kind of, embedded into this hatred towards those lot a lot sooner, and that will fester and grow as they experience more derbies at the club. But I think in terms of the actual game and how you approach it, we got to carry on doing what we're doing. Defensively, we've looked pretty darn solid. And that's one of the things that we've given away against Spurs is silly goals at silly times, key errors in stupid moments, giving Kane too much space, giving Son the run. And I feel like, and there's no excuses because with Xhaka back, and as I say, Nketiah's back, and then he's back, the entire squad's like newsflash, this barely ever happens. The entire squad is fit. Everyone is available. There's not a single injury or suspension for the North London derby, and I'm touching wood massively ahead of this Wimbledon game midweek. But the whole point is that there's nowhere to hide for team selection, for the substitutions, for anything in regards to how we set up. There's time to prepare. We've even got this practice game to try anything in midweek. Everything is set up for us to get battered. So there you go.
Well,
are you coming to me after that? Are you coming to me after that? Firstly, I just wanted to pick out that Tom keeps going on about how much younger he is than us, and then he uses phrases like "pretty darned." That's something like Ned.
Very old parents. Very old parents. That's what it is.
That's a Ned Flanders comment. That's a Ned Flanders comment. I'm going to call you Tom Flanders from now on.
Ned Flanders? Who's Ned Flanders? Do you mean Ned Flanders? Is that who you mean?
No, Flanders. I'm from Chelsea,
Ned
mate.
Flanders, my neighbour Flanders.
Yeah, pretty darned funny, that, isn't it? Anyway, but on a serious note, though, some of the players, I think the new players that we've got in are different profiles. I think they'll get it. We'll get a lot more heat coming from them in regards to the derby. Question is, does Aubameyang get it, or will Aubameyang get to it in time? That's another one, because he wasn't even on time the last time, so there's another one there. But how important is this game? This game to me is one of them, like Mo hit the nail on the head, in the sense of if we lose, everyone's just going to say, yeah, we can only beat your Norwiches and your Burnleys, so we need to win this game. We need to win it. And then you could start to say, maybe we're a little bit more serious as a team. But it's bragging rights. more than anything as well. North London derby always has been, but I think for the fans to get a little bit more positive from behind the squad and the manager a little bit, maybe those ones who aren't at the moment, a win against Spurs will give us a massive boost. And Tom was saying he's a bit envious with regards to Spurs in the sense of, you know, the players seem to get it. The only thing I'm envious about Spurs at the moment is their chairman, because he actually seems to care to the point
Daniel
where he's
Levy.
because
you speak to Spurs fans, they really can't.
listen. Let's give them a swap then. Let's have a swap deal, mate. Let's see how they do with a year or two with the Cronkies, and then come back to us.
If you give them Edu, Harry Kane will walk away for free.
Yeah, listen. The only reason I say that is, you know, I watched those shows, and maybe he was doing it for show, but he looks like he's really hands-on, and he wants that team to do well. You know, he does want it to do well. Whereas Cronkies, I don't see. It could all be for show, but you know, envious. Envious is a word that I don't really use with Spurs, because let's be honest, they've not won any titles since '61. They've not won anything of any note in their golden era, and this is our worst era, and we've still won more than them. So you know, they can say whatever they want. So look, I just want us to win that game, and I want us the team to show us that they really are turning a corner, and it's not just flat track bullies.
I've got a little message actually for the Arsenal fan base. Yeah, what I'd like to do is one of us needs to clip this up and put it out there on the socials, because one thing I've seen a lot this week is Arsenal fans complaining at the treatment that Tottenham get from the media versus the treatment that Arsenal get from the media. They're saying when Chelsea came to our place and beat us 2-0, it was Arsenal getting criticised. And when Chelsea go to Tottenham and beat them 3-0, Chelsea get praised.
Good point. Yeah, I saw that.
Well, actually, do you know what? Arsenal fans need to get out of that mentality where you want to be compared to the same standard as Tottenham. When we find ourselves compared to the same standard as Tottenham Football Club, a club that, let's face it, is a bit of a mockery. You know, even professional footballers kind of, you know, talk about them in a really disparaging way. We all remember the Bonucci. Was it Bonucci? Or Chiellini?
Chiellini, yeah.
And like Alex Ferguson, the famous team talk, lads, is Tottenham. You know, we have never won anything in our bloody lifetimes. They've got a flipping term, Spursy, named after them. Like, I do not want to be held to the same standard as a nothing club like Tottenham. So please stop complaining about it. The day we are held to the same standard as Tottenham is the day where we are truly in trouble, and we are truly at that level where there's no expectation at our club. It is fitting of our club to be held to account after Chelsea come and dominate us. It's acceptable at Tottenham, not at Arsenal. So none of us should have a problem with that perceived unfair treatment by the media.
Can I say something about that though, Mo, right? I mean, firstly, I 100% agree with you on that, right? In every aspect. However, I think maybe what the message is at the moment is the media's response to us, in the sense of, you know, Chelsea beat Spurs 3-0. Oh, well, it was just Chelsea being brilliant. Chelsea hammer us. Oh, we were awful. You know, even that game against Burnley, if you listen to the commentary, it's extremely biased against us. It's like, oh, this is lazy, this is poor, this is this is that. So I guess that's what they're trying to get at. And to some point, I do understand it.
Yeah, but I don't care. Arsenal historically have been a fantastic football team. And I worry about the day where that is such a distant memory that we're not held to those high standards. You know, a lot of us and a lot of people inside the club have gone nose blind to the fact that the culture has turned very unambitious. I never want that to happen. And actually, I'm grateful for the media. Do you know what I mean? That they still think we're a big club. They still think when they're tuning in to watch Arsenal, that, hold on a second, this is not acceptable here. This is not what I'm used to. So that's not Tottenham. It most certainly is us. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, Sean agrees with you. Thank you for the super chat, Sean. Mo, my guy, preach it. Standards of our fans have dropped immensely.
Hallelujah.
Sean gets
possibly.
Sean gets
moving on to there's I think personally, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for Arteta and the coaching staff of Arsenal Football Club to get the team psyched up and ready, pick the correct lineup, go out there and beat Spurs, because it will ease a lot of pressure that is on them. It gives them a bit of breathing space and it will calm everybody down. Whether they will take that opportunity or not, it remains to be seen. There's a couple of talking points coming up for this game, right? And I'd like to quickly put that towards you guys and see your thoughts, because then I want to go to prediction and then give opportunity to guys in the chat to ask you guys question. So 2 dilemmas. Obviously, Xhaka is going to be back, and we know Arteta loves Granit Xhaka. So question 1 is, would Granit Xhaka walk back into the team? Question 2 is, would Leno walk back into the team, or he will stick to Ramsdale? Lev.
I wouldn't listen. It'd be ridiculous for either of them to come back into the team right now for one reason. Both of them not present. We've won 2 games and not conceded any goals. How can you then bring those 2 back in? For what reason? Please tell me. You can't. That would be ridiculous.
Well, Granit Xhaka is a favourite of Arteta.
I don't care.
He wanted to leave and they convinced him, stay.
I don't care. Listen,
rubbish.
your team has lost 3 on the bounce, right? And the team you've played for the last 2 games have won, right? Okay, it hasn't been.
But there's an argument to say they were not all Granit Xhaka's fault.
Well, he got sent off for one of them. Straight red.
But we would have lost that game if he didn't. I'm just playing.
Would
this is
the
most devil's advocate I've ever
heard. Before everybody tell me, you're a Xhaka lover and all that.
I know you're a secret Xhaka lover, Mr. Xhaka.
That's Lee Judges,
anyway,
not me.
Listen, regardless of any of that, even if you take that into consideration, as a manager, your team has lost 3 in a row. You've changed things. You've brought in new players. And that combination, that formula has served you well for the last 2 games and stopped you conceding. Okay? How can you then go into a North London derby bringing in 2 players who have been part of those 3 games that we've lost? Well, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, let's just say one thing right here, right? Last season, I think Arteta made some very, very bad decisions, and his decision making was called into question repeatedly. So far this season, I don't necessarily think that's the case. Doesn't mean it's gone well for him, but still, I think that his decision making has been a bit more normal as per expectations. But I think one thing we can say for sure is that when you look at our last game against Burnley, the midfield, I was quite surprised with. I think the general reaction of the fan base, where they were quite surprised that you look at the profile of the 5-man midfield, there was only one that you'd say was a bit more defensively minded. I wouldn't even say Partey is like a true defensive midfielder, but he can play that role. And certainly he's more defensive than Pepe, Saka, Emil Smith-Rowe and Ødegaard. Do any of us think that we're going to play that same 5-man midfield against Tottenham?
Yeah, but I'd go Lukonga over Xhaka.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is that it's easy to say, oh, we should keep it the same because we've won, the last game or whatever. But I don't think any of us probably think that's realistic. I think we are expecting a change. So given that we're expecting a change, it really increases the likelihood that change could be Xhaka. So I'm sort of like mentally prepared for it, but I also hope that it's Lukonga.
Can I just put to you guys though, right? This is a heated North London derby. Right, it's going to be heated this time around, in my opinion. There's new players in our team that want to prove a point. Okay, they're different profile players, different type. You've seen the way Ramsdale and Kieran Tierney and those guys were celebrating, blocking crosses, and that sort of thing. I think it's going to be a different mentality. How could you trust Xhaka in such a heated environment? He hasn't played for the last 3 games. You just throw him straight into a North London derby. I think, personally, that will be asking for trouble. But that's just my opinion, and that's what it's all about.
There's a super chat from, I think, it's another Iranian brother.
He's a Persian brother.
Majid A. Thank you for your kind super chat, my friend. Xhaka should not even be on the bench. Sell him. Tom, what's your thoughts on this debate? Ramsdale, Leno, would Xhaka...
I'm so on board with what Mo said. Like, there is all the will in the world that Xhaka will be in that lineup on Sunday. I'd put money on him being in the lineup on Sunday. It's just,
so would I.
Would you not want that? Do you agree with it though?
No, I don't. Absolutely not. The last game he played was in our last game against what we consider the Big Six, like in a high pressure moment, and he messed up. No matter what you think, if that's a red card or not, and I know there are a lot of people out there that don't think that was a red card. It doesn't matter. He made the decision to give the ref the opportunity to send him off, and we know that Xhaka's got this reputation, and we know that some players get sent off for these challenges and some players don't, and he falls in the category of players that do. So he should learn from that, but he doesn't, and he makes consistent mistakes that lead to goals. Now, I have a lot of respect for Xhaka's game in the sense that I think he has a lot of good passing abilities, and I think actually last season he was probably our best midfielder, although that probably does say more about what we had available last season than anything else. The issue is that I don't see Lokonga playing because, one, despite Lokonga and Partey being fit, they haven't played together yet. I mean, I don't think they've been on the pitch at the same time together. I think he brought off Lokonga for Partey against Norwich, and I think he brought on Lokonga at a very similar time to Partey going off against Burnley. So if they have, it's minutes. And that is a bit of a problem for a relationship of a midfield two. You would argue that Maitland-Niles has played with Partey and that Maitland-Niles has played with Lokonga. We need to see Partey play. It's just that partner. I don't know whether or not one of those two will start. And that's the thing, is Xhaka has played with Partey under Mikel Arteta, and is another reason. Now, the other question you asked, Shaheem, was Leno. Now, we saw those rumours. We all saw the rumours about, I think it was Christian Falk from Build. 2-game break. We promised he'll back from the North London. To me, that stunk of a destabilisation attempt of a story. Coming from my perspective, like it came across in that sense. There was nothing, I heard nothing to do with that. There was no promise. There was nothing. And if you think to Mikel Arteta's press conference, he made a really good point. It's like, I haven't even considered my lineup for the North London derby yet. So how German outlet Build could have any idea about what I'm going to do is absolutely beyond me. However, let's say that this, just hypothetically, just think about this scenario. Leno comes in for Ramsdale against Spurs. For me, and I don't use this sentence lightly because I don't really like going into hyperbole, but that's a sackable offence. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, that's a sackable offence.
Although, Tom, he could have said to him, you've got 2 games in your back and those 2 games are over, so he's playing against Wimbledon. And maybe that's what it was. So he plays against Wimbledon, drops him for a North London derby.
No, but the thing is, Tom's paraphrasing, but it actually was that apparently he's going to play against Tottenham. But it's nonsense. Yeah. That story is nonsense.
Ridiculous.
Earlier on, we were talking about the risk when it comes to AFC Wimbledon. Yeah, the risk if you play a strong team and the risk if you don't. Let's look at the risk of the sort of like negative feedback Arteta will get if he plays Leno and it goes wrong versus if he sticks with Ramsdale and it goes wrong. Who will complain if Ramsdale lets in a goal, for example, where he should have saved? Which one of us will be on here next Monday saying he should have started Leno versus if he puts Leno in and Leno makes a mistake, how many of us will be saying, I can't believe he didn't stick with Ramsdale? I think one of them presents zero risk. If he plays Ramsdale, none of us will say anything, even if Ramsdale makes an error. But if he brings Leno in after Ramsdale played so well against Burnley, he'll get untold amount of stick. I don't see Leno coming in. And if he does, then, well, it's a victory for Build.
Yeah,
and also I think it really calls into question Arteta's decisions.
Well, this leads me nicely to the one-word answer to the questions that I have. So I'm going to ask 3 questions and just one answer, and to same to you guys in the chats as well. So you give us your answer as well. I'll start with Mo. Leno Ramsdale. What do you think he will do? Not what do you think you will do?
All right. If you agree with what I'm going to say, hit the like button because only 68.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, guys.
So if you agree with my choice between Ramsdale or Leno, I want you to hit the like button.
What do you think Arteta? I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Sorry. I'll answer that. Yeah. And if you think, if you agree with me that what I think Arteta will do, if you think Arteta will do it as well, hit the like button. Ramsdale.
Tom.
Ramsdale.
Lev.
You did actually say yes or no answers. So
no, I said one word answer. That was not a one word answer.
Yes, Dale.
Yes, Dale.
Ramsdale,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
You think Xhaka will come back to the team, Mo?
Yes.
Tom?
No. I want to go no.
Lev?
I'm going to completely contradict myself.
Oh god, I'm torn between what I think is going to happen and
It's
what
a one
want
word
to
answer.
happen.
Xhaka, will you
No,
think will come back
no,
in or not?
No.
No, I think he will come back in. Right. Now, this is obviously not a one-word answer, but just a quick one. Predictions. Mo?
2-0 Arsenal. No, 2-1. Obviously, Kane will score. 2-1 Arsenal.
Arsenal. Tom?
Yeah, I was going to say 1-0, but Kane's there. I'm going to stay with 1-0. We're defensively sound right now. 1-0.
Lev?
2-1 Arsenal.
Shaheen?
I agree with you both. 2-1 Arsenal, I think.
Now, again, if you think Arsenal are going to beat Tottenham, hit the like button.
Exactly. Hit the like buttons. If you're watching the show after, put on the comments as well. Put the answers to these questions that I ask, and give us your thoughts. We do read the replies. Trust me, we may not reply to all of them, but we do read them. Obviously, guys, follow Mo. Mo's got his own YouTube channel. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to the Gooner Talk TV. Tom, they do shows as well. So for the next
good show, that Tom, by the way.
Yeah, subscribe obviously to the Arsenal Lounge as well if you're new, right? Listen, for the next 5-6 minutes, I'm gonna give you guys opportunity in the chat to ask Mo, Tom, Lev, or myself any questions that you may have. So put your questions in, and we'll put it forward to the guys. Somebody
responded, by the way, over 100 likes. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate that.
Right, question. Gooner Glenn. Thanks for Gooner Glenn is actually one of the regulars that watches the show. So thank you. Tom is just getting blocked.
Ooh.
No, just joking. What is this, man? Tom, what is this?
You wanted questions. You asked for questions.
Gooner Glenn, are the panel ready to replace Pep's? And if so, who ideally replace him with?
Pepe.
I am for Sarr at Watford. Who wants to answer it?
Ooh, do you know what? This is. I mean, I think this is a tough one because I've got a soft
just try
spot
to
for
be
Pepe.
quick so we can move to more questions.
Who do you replace him with?
Saka, and you put Martinelli on the left hand.
Yes, perhaps. Yeah,
Mo?
that's more likely.
No, I still have faith in Pepe. I'll still keep him in.
Crook, Mo, where's the shirt from? It's awesome.
Are you sure I'm allowed to say?
Yeah. Go for it, man. We don't have any sponsors. You're right.
Palestina. Check them out on the socials. FC Palestina. They do loads of really cool concept kits.
Okay. Anib, would you swap Saka for Mahrez, Tom?
No.
And Sterling. No.
He said Mahrez and Sterling.
And
so if Man City are giving us both, then yeah, maybe. But no, I'm happy with Saka personally. I think he's young, got a great future ahead of him for either.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Right. Question: what do you make of this back four, mate? And now Tomiyasu, Gabriel, and Tierney. Lev.
Someone really doesn't like Ben White, do they?
Yeah.
Maitland Niles, Tomiyasu, get what?
But I just ask why.
Why? Yeah, that's the question. Why? I think most.
Well, they put a question back to you, Stu. Why?
I don't like it. There you go.
Majid, what position do you think you will bring in a player in January?
None.
Mo.
I don't think we'll bring in any.
Technical director or manager.
No.
Disagree.
Question for Tom from Gonzalo. The game against Wimbledon, I don't see why you would start Balogun over Nketiah. Nketiah had a good preseason.
1 year left on his contract. Going to leave at the end of the season. Why put minutes into a player that's not going to stay?
Mo. No, actually, hold on.
Down with the kids.
Bigger.
Shahnawaz
Jahangir. What if Arteta finishes the whole season as manager? So where do you think Arsenal will finish in the table? So he's saying if Arteta obviously stays for the season, where do you think we'll finish? Lev.
6th.
7th to 10th.
Tom.
7th.
Okay. Very kind.
What do you
There's
think,
another one
Shane?
here.
Where are we finishing if Arteta stays in
8 to
charge?
10th.
Oh, throwing it back at him, Tom. I like it.
How does Martinelli fit into our team, and would you loan to a semi-top team in Europe to benefit him? Mo?
We are a flipping semi-top team, Musty. That's the goddamn problem, mate. Look, he obviously fits into our team, but I don't know. Like the first few games, I guess no one performed. It didn't just work for him, but he just fits as a forward that for me can play anywhere across the front three.
Okay. Mo,
just quickly, Shane, I have actually written an article about this today. Just want to put that.
Where would
Plug
people be able to see this?
Football.London. You can find it. I wrote a piece on how Arteta's got to pick between one of Saka or Pepe so that Martinelli can get into the team on the left hand side.
You've heard it from the horse's mouth.
So you think left hand side? Do you think that's where Martinelli belongs?
Yeah, I think that you have to pick between Saka and Pepe on the right, and then I think Martinelli is destined for a wide forward position. Yeah.
Okay. Maru, question. Would we bring in another sentiment in January, seeing that Party and NLD are going to African Cup of Nations? Lev?
I don't think so. We would have done that during the summer window if we were going to do that, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, we've been going about 1 hour and 5 minutes, guys. And obviously, so we're very, very grateful for all of you watching the show. Please hit the like button, subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, subscribe to Tom and Mo's channel. Thank you again for being here. Very grateful. We do these shows on Mondays at evening time. To round things up, Tom, last say if you want to say anything.
Cheers for letting me come on as always, boys. Really appreciate spending time with you. It's always a pleasure. And thank you to the chat box. And if you haven't already, drop a like on today's video.
Lovely. Mo?
Listen, this game coming up against Tottenham, absolutely huge game. I know we've got AFC Wimbledon next, but we're going to win that. I just think we're going to win that. What I would say is that the game against Burnley, for me, was one of the best away days I've had in a long time.
Was there trouble, Mo? Was there trouble, Mo?
A little bit. I'm going to do what Tom did. If you want to kind of see a little bit about what happened, go onto my YouTube channel, watch 5 at 5, and I covered it in one of my 5 points. Yeah.
Plugs.
What I would say, more important than that, Lev, was that the away fans on that day were fantastic. From before the first whistle until the final whistle and beyond, singing non-stop, fully behind the team, even when we weren't playing very well. Absolutely brilliant. We need that energy at that Tottenham game because, we need to rally around this team if we want to see them kind of turn the season around. So let's get behind the boys.
Okay. And just before I come to Lev, this is probably comment of the day. Xhaka plus Shahin for Basuma in January. Please don't block me. And you're blocked, my friend.
No, don't block me.
No.
Can I bring something up? This is ridiculous. Anyone?
Why?
Shafeen, have a word with yourself. It sounds like Shaheen. You sure it's not you?
Yeah, it's his brother.
No, it's his twin brother. The other guy that don't know nothing.
He probably knows more football than me. Lev, what about you? Any last things to wrap up?
Man, I'm just like, I'm not so sort of excited about tomorrow's game, Wednesday's game. Sorry, but boy, the Spurs game is huge. We need to win that game. If there's going to be any way of anyone looking at this and seeing some actual real green shoots in the sense of our team turning the corner, it's beating someone like Spurs, who, whatever we want to say about them, the media darlings and all of that seem to think they're up there as a top 6 side. So let's show them that we can compete and beat a so-called top 6 side rather than a Norwich and a Burnley. So that's all. Let's get behind the team. Come on, the Gunners. Let's beat that scum down the road. So that's all I have to say.
And I follow that. Whether your opinion on Arteta, Edu, Kroenke's, whatever, that needs to be put on the side for this North London derby. We all want our team to win and win well. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful evening.
I knew it.
I don't know. Lev, you need to stop putting comments on the screen, man, because, you're just putting things up. I'm just wrapping things up. So behave yourself. That's a yellow card for you.
Are you going to block me?
Yeah, you will be blocked. Anyway, have a wonderful evening wherever you guys are, or morning or whatever. Thank you to Tom and Mo, and obviously my fellow lounger Lev. That's it. We're done and out. Cheers.
Love you, loungers.